So it's new release week number 3, and this one is not going to be rehashing another review that I already did or a first impression. This is going to be a first impression of a brand new release that just came out. It is now in the United States online at Ulta and Sephora. It is Bad Boy Extreme. And so without further ado, let's get it. Alright, my fragrant ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. This is Randy, aka FragranceDoud. You guys all know that, and if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for joining. Subscribe and follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you do like my content. So we're getting into another new release. I already talked about Invictus Victory Elixir. I'm doing a full review of that coming up in the coming weeks. I did a first impression of that. Boss Scent Magnetic, first impression and full review. Same with the YSL Eau de Parfum Intense, the Valentino Born in Roma Intense. I also have the new Lacoste on the way. I have the Polo Red Parfum on the way. The new Givenchy is hitting stores in March. I'm not planning on picking up the Carolina Herrera CH Passion unless for some reason it's really good. Chrome Parfum is on News Parfums right now, but you guys told me that you didn't care for me to pick it up, so I'm not. I'll wait for that to come to the United States and then I'll test it out. And then we also had this one, which again, there's 1 Million Royal coming out next week as well. But I had a video back in January where I told you guys of all the fragrances that were announced, which ones were my top 5 favorites. Polo Red Parfum was my number 1, but then the notes got changed, and then I decided to move that down the list, and this one jumped up to my number 1 most anticipated. So I opened up the box as it got here 20 minutes ago from UPS. So sue me, I just really was excited about it. This is by Carolina Herrera. It is Bad Boy Extreme. So the box pretty much looks like any of the other Carolina Herrera Bad Boy boxes. Nothing much to it. It's black and gold. Bad Boy Extreme, 100 milliliter Eau de Parfum Extreme. And then we have the bottle. I sprayed it on my hand 20 minutes ago on my right hand. That is going to be what I can get from the dry down, so we don't have to skip to the next part. And then I will spray it again on my left hand so we can get another feel of the opening. As you guys know, this is my first impressions. I don't do any of the notes. I did post the notes, so I know a few of them, so I'll let you know if I do get any of that. So let's just dive right into it. So this, again, Bad Boy. And I know some people think that these bottles are tacky. I thought the same thing for the first two. Once Cobalt came out last year, that blue gradient, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I like that. This one, I'm a Steelers fan, and black and gold, and while that's not necessarily the color of the gold, it's more of a Saints color. I do really like that. I'm going to add it to my collection. To me, if it's tacky, great. I like it. I'm tacky, I guess. So again, the atomizer is really nice on the bottle, as you guys all know. Bad Boy Extreme. So as far as the other Bad Boys, the original, I didn't dislike it. It was just that marijuana note or whatever. I think that was in the L'HOMME Parfum. Whatever one had the marijuana note, I didn't like. And then the other one, I did like, but not much. I would never wear it, didn't buy it. Bad Boy Cobalt, I literally love the opening. For the first half hour, it's fantastic. And then it gets these earthy aromatics that doesn't really fit into the fragrance. And I'm still trying to come around to it, but I'm not a huge fan of the dry down. The fragrance as a whole is like a 7.0 out of 10 for me, which is still decent, but that opening is just phenomenal. It's plum, it was Divana, it was really good. This one, I don't know much of the notes of it, but I'll go based on what I did post and let you guys know what I smell here.
One eternity later.
So let's just get straight into it. And it's good. It's one that I wasn't expecting. Honestly, when you first spray this on, I did not. I know there was a note of cacao or cocoa in this. It wasn't cacao, it was cocoa. So when you first spray this on, there is that chocolate. It's that chocolatey vibe. And for about a second, I thought that it was just very, very similar to something like the Private Accord, but that kind of went out the window because the chocolate in this doesn't feel like the dark chocolate that you get from the Boss. It feels a little bit more almost like a lighter chocolate than what you get in that, and it's also not as prominent as what you get in Private Accord. It's what really made me think of it is the fact that in Private Accord they have that maninka and other things going on with the cacao. It's not something like Chocolate Greedy by Montal where you're literally hit in the face with a bunch of chocolate. This is a nice balance of light and dark. So you get these dark, almost, well, I'm going with the dry down portion of it now. So you get this nice Apopanax, which comes off as like a dark, musky resin. It has a little bit of a sweetness, which it's like a sweet myrrh. So it gives off a little bit of this like sweetness while also being like a dark, musky resin. It's really nice, and it mixes in with that chocolate. You get a little bit of this fresh aromatic feeling to it as well from the clary sage, and a nice almost effervescent pop from the ginger. But those are more nuanced under the chocolate in the opening. And then once you get further into the fragrance, I was really hoping that the dry down in this would not fail me because of what happened with the cobalt, because I really do like this opening. I did also let my wife smell the opening, and she said it's good. I let her smell about 15 minutes into the dry down. She said, yeah, it's good. It's definitely the most mass appealing one out of the four as far as the full fragrance. So again, the opening of Bad Boy Cobalt, I think, is the best opening of any of the four in this line. I don't think that there is going to be a better opening. That plum is in there. It's really nice. And there is plum in this, and you can notice as it gets to the dry down, there is still a sweetness in there. It comes in, you get a little bit of tonka bean that gives a little bit of a powdery sweetness. And then you also have a different type of sweetness. And I had to put my nose around it to try to remember what the notes were. And because, again, I don't like to look at the notes for this. And so then I was like, oh, wait, there's plum in this, because I remembered that it did share some of the qualities from the original Bad Boy, from the Bad Boy Cobalt. So the way that you can really describe this is that it reminds me of a few fragrances, especially when you get further into the dry down. It reminds me of almost like a mixture of the way that there's that light and dark mixture from something like the original Invictus Victory, mixed with sweetness like what you get in Scandal. Not the coconut or anything like that what you get in Le Beau. Scandal's more around this like sweet tonka and stuff like that. It reminds me of a mixture of like Scandal mixed with like the aromatics and stuff like that you get in Invictus Victory, mixed with a little bit of the original Bad Boy. So really, if you just want to summarize this fragrance into being something more simplified than talking about this fragrance or that fragrance or that fragrance, again, it does have a little bit of a feeling of the original Bad Boy, but I wouldn't say it's too much. It's opening with a chocolate bomb with some of that ginger in there to give it an effervescent pop, some aromatics, and a little bit of that dark resinous Apopanax. So as you work your way into the fragrance, that chocolate does dissipate. You get a little bit of that tonka coming in, giving it some sweetness. It's mass appealing. It's definitely built for that. It's more of a fall and winter fragrance. I would say it's more fall, winter, early spring maybe, but I would say that if I had to pick one season this revolves around, it would definitely be the winter because of that chocolate, the tonka. Those are the types of notes that you would want. This is more on the sweeter side while also having that light side with, again, the ginger, the clary sage, a little bit of those aromatics. You do get some woods in there as well, and a little bit of an earthy tone from the vetiver coming in. It's more of a clean vetiver, but overall, yeah, the opening is a lot more sweet. It actually reminds me again of all those fragrances that I mentioned. I was going to say Boss the Scent Magnetic because there is pieces of that in here, but you guys haven't really smelled that yet. But if you do get your nose on both, you'll know what I'm talking about. The chocolate dissipates, it still stays there, and as far as the performance so far on my skin, it's above average for the first half hour, but I can say it has got a lot closer to the skin. I need to test it out more, so don't take my word on that. But just after a half hour, it seems like it's more getting closer to a moderate scent, more of a personal bubble. The fragrance is really nice. I think that it's going to be probably a crowd pleaser. The bottle looks really nice, and I think that this is not going to be anything new, but it's going to be something that people in the fragrance community, if you are okay with just having something that's just a little bit different with a twist of something that's already out there, then I think that this will be a good pickup for you, especially at the price, which I got it from Ulta. I think it was $100. You could also probably wait for a Macy's sale or something like that. I definitely don't think this is worth a blind buy, especially if you don't like sweet fragrances. But if you do like the ones that I mentioned, again, the Invictus Victories, the Scandals, and then even some pieces of the original Bad Boy, then again, I think that you'll like this. Again, I didn't like the first two Bad Boys, which this is closer to, but again, it adds a lot more of that sweetness in the chocolate and a little bit of a unique feel with that sweetness. And I think that it definitely stands out in the line. It doesn't stand out above like a bunch of other fragrances. And so far, I still put Boss Scent Magnetic and the Valentino Intense over this. But this one is very close. I like the bottle. I think Carolina Herrera did a good release on this one. I don't really like Carolina Herrera in general as far as the fragrances. I like CH Men Privé and stuff like that, but they've never wowed me with other ones. This one does pretty good. Mass appeal, they pretty much hit it right on the head. So again, I'll be back with my full review in about 9 to 10 days, letting you guys know exactly what I get from it. If there's a good performance, bad performance, all of that. Let me know if you have tried this, and again, I'll be back with another one. Peace out.